Okay. Anyway, what I want to do here is just basically get set up. So, this is literally day one. So let me explain what's going on here. Here's the Elm in Action book. I bought it, and I asked Richard Feldman, the author, on Twitter if we could work on this on stream. So I am going to do that. I think this gets released in January, so I just need to put together some links for people so that is it still tearing? Why? You just let me know if it's still tearing. So Elm in Action by Richard Feldman. So you can get this book via, oh, right. Put this down here. Okay. Manning. Well, let me, in case I'm logged in, let's just incognito it. Elm in, no thanks. Elm in Action. What? My internet seems very slow today. So, okay, we can just do this link. Copy. Not here. Well, you can get it there. Here. You can get this book directly from, bam. Okay, so that's probably all we need to do, right? For now. Okay, and then we will start, basically start chapter 1, I guess. I don't know what else I need to do here. So I think chapter 1 is basically just basics. So we probably can get through the basics pretty, oh, I know what else I need to do. New Elm in Action through the book. Action by Feldman. Public, got it. It's literally plugged in. Goof. Okay. Yeah. Oh, this is where we need to do this. Wham. Did it. Okay. Next thing. I don't know exactly, I lost my train of thought. I don't know exactly what I need to do in chapter 1, but we will make a chapter 1, and basically that's usually what we do. So it is actually chapter 1, not chapter 0. So let's go to chapter 1 and we'll see what we have to do. So if I remember correctly, I already have Elm installed. We assume it's Elm help. There we go. And that comes with a REPL, a init, and reactor. I also need 2 other things, which I think are called Elm format and something else. So what I was thinking about doing is using code, like VS Code, to try and do Elm. So, and we'll see how that goes. But extensions are here, right? Yeah. So this has Elm in it. So I already have this Elm bit, and apparently we have some tooling. So I need Elm test and Elm format. So we will get those things. Just getting ready for those at some point. Okay, Shudo. How do I don't really know a ton about NPM, and by a ton I mean literally zero. No. Bin wrap install. Failed to exec install script. I assume this means it wants this. What's bin wrap install? Bin wrap. I don't know what this is. So what did I try and install? Let's oh, I shouldn't do this up here. Sorry. So we're basically just setting up our environment a little bit. So Elm test installation. We might not need this yet, but get there. I would like to just get this done. So this is what we did. Right? So it seems to be like a very confusing message. So this seems to me like I should be getting the newest version of NPM. What's going on, Jappy? How are you? So I did a thing this week. You ready? We're gonna do the Elm in Action book. I got permission, so let's go. We're gonna learn Elm, and I would like to do it this way, only because he shows some examples of like what a single page app really is, which, to be honest, I don't fully know. So I think that I'll pick up the language super quick as I was picking it up before, but I like to ask the authors. It's like maybe I don't have to, but I still like to ask the authors when I can. Makes me feel better. Hopefully I don't get sued. I don't think I'll get sued, but like for example, for Haskell programming from first principles, I was asked not to publish anything, so I didn't. Totally fine with me. I don't really care. Yeah. So anyway, I just did that. So let's get like the newest version of NPM, I guess, because I'm super confused. Can I just download this? I have to create an account for this. Do I already have an account, maybe? No? So, what do I have here? I'm very confused. So, like, is there a way to self-update NPM? Maybe we can just do that. Update? I think so. Okay. Unstable npm ppa. What if I just do this? Uh, I'm. I still need to spend some time with Nyx. Okay, so history. Wow. Is there like a user global? Like, I don't want to install it there. Yeah. Now you're thinking. I like the way you think, Jappy. I like the way. Can you do like UG for user global? I'm literally just making that up. Oh shit. Maybe you can. Wait, doesn't that look like I already installed it? Or did I just install it in here? Ah, shoot. U does not do what you want it to do. Okay, we'll just sudo it. It'll be fine. Somebody should probably write one. This is the same error. Permission denied. The F? Okay, fine. I mean, I have no idea what this means, but I will assume that the internet would not recommend it if it wasn't necessary. Damn it. Also, dang it, because now I need to swear jar. I've been doing pretty good. Which test. Is that where it's supposed to go? Well, we can do it this way. I guess so. Okay, so now we have Elm stuff. Great. And in theory, the reason we were doing that is just so that this would work. If we get here, we'll be able to do some Elm. I don't know if we're gonna even do VS Code today. We'll see. But we'll start with maybe just writing like one file with a main function in it or something. Okay, so we're gonna learn. I'm not gonna read like the motivation pieces because we kind of know how that goes. But more or less, you basically have this kind of picture where you have like a bunch of Elm files, an Elm compiler, and then you create stuff for your browser. I think that's probably pretty clear to most people that would be here. Clear enough for me anyway. So here's an interesting, I've never seen these in the Manning books before, but it's like a tip. So it just says, most teams that use Elm in production say they used a planting the seed approach. Instead of waiting for a big project where they could build everything in Elm from the ground up, they rewrote a small part of their existing JavaScript or TypeScript code base in Elm. So that's kind of cool. I think that's pretty true for other cases as well. I just, I don't work in industry, so. Okay, so we are going to first play with the REPL. So here we go. All right, so if we write ahoy world, this will evaluate and it'll give us a type. So one thing to note for Haskell people is it's a single colon instead of a double colon. It's kind of like one of the biggest differences between these two things. Between Elm and Haskell anyway. There's obviously lots of differences, but syntactically they're quite similar. So we're an L programmer. Well, we've kind of done some of this stuff before. So that's good. So we can do like other things. Ahoy. So we get list concatenation, or well, string concatenation. And I think strings are not represented as a list of characters. If I remember correctly, I don't remember how to get like info from here. I don't think you can. You can just like reset. Let me see if there's like more interesting things here. T. Why are you not giving me new tab? Please? New tab? New tab? Okay. REPL. There really isn't much here, unfortunately, but that's okay. All right, let's keep going. Apparently we just get, there's just pi? That's convenient. So we could write like pi is from float. I think we get like autocomplete in here, or no? No, that's okay. From float pi. I was writing some C today, could you tell? Nice. Noise string dot from float. Okay. Plus plus, we are like combining strings, great. I didn't know that JavaScript uses just a plus. Yeah, apparently we can do just some math, right? It's a number. That's kind of interesting. Can I do something like this? Oh, sorry, not Python. Float. So I'm gonna guess that a number is polymorphic, and I could probably do the following. Integer? No. Maybe I do... Oh. No. Oh, so we probably have to do like... Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, is it int? Might be int. That's neat. I really like the way the multi-line stuff is working in the REPL. Pretty useful. We get a normal exponentiation operator, which is nice. Division automatically seems to cast to a float, so it must work similar to Haskell with fractional values. And we get floor division as well, which is // great. There's gonna be some basic stuff today, but that's fine. I'm okay with basic stuff. I actually had a pretty rough day, mentally speaking. We did a workshop on, excuse me, on Numba. So I did a bunch of like CUDA kernel stuff today, which I haven't done in a long time. It's just like you have to think so carefully about the runtime when you're doing CUDA. Okay, so there is a difference between string and character. So that's a character, that's a string. Nice. So comments are similar to Haskell. So comment. That's kind of interesting. I was sort of expecting that to complain, but maybe it needs to be... Oh, like there has to be something here, it looks like. So we could write like... Well, I can't spell, but you see what I mean. So you can't write minus minus like this on a single line, probably only in the REPL. I don't really know. We'll have to see how it is in... how it is somewhere else. So can we do... There's also multi-line comments, which is nice. So can we do this? Multi-line comment. Yep, that's kind of cool. I really like the way this REPL behaves. Kind of nice. Okay, so it says normally once we assign a name to a value, the name cannot be later reassigned to a different value. Assignment in Elm works like JavaScript's const keyword. I assume there's gonna be a lot of comparisons to JavaScript just because like this is meant for like front-end programmers. Clojure has a comment function. I didn't know that. It's interesting. Hello viewers. So today we're working on the Elm in Action book. So I have the book above the screen up here. And so you won't see the book. I don't show the book on the stream, but I just talk about it and work through examples and play. So right now we're kind of just messing around in the REPL with some of the very basics of Elm. And we're going to go pretty quick. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this kind of stuff. It's just, you know, it's pretty basic. So So it says, okay, let me paste this in here even though it's not valid. So it's like compare these, or so this is JavaScript, and so it says this is a ternary expression. It evaluates to a value, and JavaScript happily assigns that value to a label. If statement, and Elm. This distinction does not exist in Elm, as Elm programs express logic using expressions only. As such, Elm has if expressions instead of if statements. I don't really know what that means, but okay. Every Elm application is essentially one big expression built up from smaller ones. Okay. So we'll just cancel that out. That was JavaScript. So conditionals are like normal. You know, we would probably want a space there so we can compare. Not equals is the same as Haskell, which is always something I forget, but it is what it is. There's a not function which inverts. Not surprising. There's also and or as well. So like pi less than equal 0, pi greater than equal 10. Neither of those are true. And then like 3 less than pi. What other useful constants are there? 4. Okay. Cool. I like the examples that are in here. E? Oh, nice. Phi? No phi. Phi might come in like a math. I'm not sure which phi that would refer to, so. Unusable. Basically useless language. No phi. What phi are you referring to there? I actually don't even know. I know what E you're referring to now. Okay, so E for growth? Oh, golden ratio. Okay. Good phi. All right, so we can do like stuff like this. Oh, but that's not defined. So this should really be a function, but we'll make it true. Oh, whoops. I don't know why we're using a number there, but okay. There we go. So if expressions require 3 ingredients, it's not that surprising. I don't particularly like that we're using 1 here, but I don't know what that means. Like, what does it mean to set a vacationing elf to 1? I feel like it would be true, but fine. This has like else if as well, which is nice. So it's like if you can write things like, obviously this doesn't do anything, but oh, there is some autocomplete there. Why didn't that work before? Oh, maybe it only works with stuff that's in memory. Then, hello. Sure, it can be hello. So like that works fine. Which Haskell doesn't really have. Think you would need to put these in parentheses, or use a $sign or something. There's kind of a lot of like helper stuff in here, so it's more designed for people who haven't programmed very much. But we could like turn this thing into a function, for example. You could just say something like this. That's great. Takes any number to a string apparently. And then we could just give it 1 or 0, right? Functions. Love functions. Okay, so this is like pointing out that in JavaScript functions, you can use this return statement to exit early, but can lead to unpleasant surprises when used in the middle of large functions. Elm does not support these unpleasant surprises because it doesn't have a return keyword. Okay, so that's just like a comparison to explanation of what? I'm sort of going relatively quick, but I can try and explain something a little bit more. What do you mean? Elm cannot return early from a function. There is no return keyword. Is that not a... I guess I don't understand what you mean. I don't really know enough about JavaScript, but... Okay, maybe I'm misunderstanding. But they're basically comparing this function count so like apparently in what that's what I want to do. There we go. So in JavaScript you do something like this, right? You could say like if not string, just return it, which I suppose could do nasty things, which is kind of a problem. So you can't really do that here. You have to write something like this. Probably, yeah. Control L. Okay. So this part is about modules. So you can write, like, there's some core libraries available where you can write, you know, like to lower. I am being too loud. And it will just lowercase it. There's upper. There's string from float. I assume you can not, you know, something like this. There's also from int. I assume that this is just that the types are different, so I can't pass this. Yeah, but I can pass this. And I assume from float takes like a number. Oh no, it just takes a float. So it's casting, where'd it go? It's casting this to a float, I guess. I don't have to worry about that because it's a number. I assume it's a polymorphic number. Right, I can prove that. I'm making an assumption that that's what that means, by the way. Do do do. Do 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 do. Making some comparisons to JavaScript here, but I've literally that's not true. I've written a little tiny bit of JavaScript, but not much. By the way, is this screen still tearing? Does anyone notice that? All right, so this says we can use, like, there's filter functions. I suppose we can say so the idea here is we want to remove things from phone numbers. So 8679309. Is that what it is? 8675309, right? 8675309. And well, oh. This probably also needs to be this. And I think it's the other way. There we go. This is Haskell's, right? I don't know what this means. It doesn't mean anything, apparently. Is keepable. Oh, I see. Okay, so he defines a function is keepable. Char equals character not equal dash, right? And then we just put that function in there, which is also fine. I know how to make anonymous functions in this language already, so I'm a bit ahead of the game. So, but we can write this as well. Totally fine. Same thing. Again, this isn't really a great test, right? Because you could just put like a number or a letter in here and it would do the same thing, which is probably not necessarily what you want to do. Oh, so pointing out that we can use let expressions to deal with this. So we could say something like dash is keepable c not equal dash in string filter two. Oh, right. Well, anyway, you get the idea. I can't reassign keepable. I'd have to clear my variables first. What's up, Oren? So, Oren, you're going to be excited to hear this, I think. So, we were talking a little bit about Elm behind the scenes in Discord, and so I took the plunge. So I went and bought Elm in Action. So we're gonna do a little bit of Elm in Action, and then we're gonna build our website. That's the plan. So, bam. And I do think, so we were talking last time about, on Tuesday this was, about like how do we organize our, oh, was it? Am I dropping frames really bad? I think I'm okay, so that's fine. I can repeat though. I just want to make sure I'm okay. No worries. So I got the book Elm in Action, and I asked Richard Feldman today on Twitter if I could stream it. And he said, yeah, no problem. So I can post the code on GitHub, I can post the videos on YouTube, and so here we go. That's what we're gonna do. Yep, so we're gonna do the Elm in Action book on Thursdays, and maybe we'll do some like actual development in between, because, you know, we do a lot of books, but that's kind of what I want to do. So, well, we'll get to a real project eventually, but I'd like to feel more comfortable with what we're doing here. So, here we go. Thursdays are now Elm in Action Day until we are done. This is 300 pages, so it's pretty short, and I think that I probably won't have, hopefully I won't have as many barriers to this book as I do with the other books that I've been completing on stream, because the other books have been, exactly, it's not going to be like, we're not going to be learning monad transformers in Elm, so we should be able to get through this book pretty quickly, I hope. Unfortunately, that's not going to be very useful for folks that have never seen Haskell before, so I might need to think about how I'm going to deal with these videos. Hey, Swarm, it's been a long time. How are you? Life is great. Glad to see you. So since you've been gone, Swarm, we started Elm. How weird is that? Okay. Yeah. So anonymous functions. Yeah, I'm definitely getting screen tearing, and it's driving me nuts because I don't know why I would be getting it right now. I wasn't getting it last time. Well, that's fine. It happens. It happens. Okay, so actually it's funny, it says let's use the anonymous function to call string filter, and I actually did that in the first place. So that was the first one we did, which is right here. So that's what an anonymous function looks like. Very similar, or exactly the same as Haskell, essentially. Oh, right. So also we can do very busy with work, typical insanity. Yeah, I'm super excited. So in the last few weeks we have been experimenting with Elm, and like I've never done front end web dev. I've barely ever written JavaScript, and you know, I don't get it. Like it just doesn't, it's never made sense to me. So like I want to build a website for recipes, actually, is the idea. So I'm like sick and tired of logging into, you know, people's websites and looking up a recipe, and the web page stays open the whole time because it's running like an ad, and it won't let my phone turn off or whatever. And you know, you have to read all these weird stories about, I don't know, how people discovered their recipes, and like, guess what? I don't care. So we're gonna try and make a website that's just, it's literally going to be called just recipes, and that's all you're going to be able to put on it. You're not going to be able to put any fluff or anything. So that's kind of the idea. It can be like Twitter for recipes, something like that, or a combination of Twitter and Reddit for recipes. But I need to learn how to do front end, so that's the plan. And also, I have a project at work that I'm not ready to, like, I haven't even really thought about very carefully, but I think Elm would be a good example to use it. So, yeah. Anyway, Elm has both infix functions and prefix functions. So I assume that we're going to be able to like partially apply functions. Yeah. And things like this. So not that surprising, since it's sort of Haskell-esque. So you can look at like partially applied functions this way. I assume you cannot write this though. Yeah, it doesn't like this, so you'd have to do the prefix version. And if I remember correctly, you can't do like sections like we have in Haskell. Yeah, so it doesn't understand what that means. So you have to explicitly write like this to get the prefix version. But that's fine. It's not that hard. Oh, okay, never mind. Can we find the precedence of an operator? So like they're talking about precedence, but I think generally speaking, we almost always know this, or most languages follow this. Like if you do this, the precedence of the plus and minus operators are higher than the precedence of equal equal. So, you know, it evaluates this, and then evaluates this. So you don't have to worry about that. I don't know if you can get the precedence or set the precedence of operators. Not sure about that. Says there isn't much formal documentation on operators' relative precedence values, but operators that appear in many programming languages tend to work similarly to Elm, and so that's okay. So I think that I presume we're not going to be able to change the fixity of a custom, although maybe we can't even define like a custom operator like you can in Haskell. I don't know yet. We'll find out. It's just pointing out that, you know, that operators like this are left associative. So, you know, the intrinsic parentheses are like the following. That's the same value. They're not, if they were right associative, it would be a different value. So if we put that there, I'll just, oh, I have too many parentheses, don't I? If we put this like this, we get a different number. So, but again, these are precedence rules from math. They're not like, that's not magic or anything. I don't think anyone's going to be blown away by that. Hopefully not. Okay, so Elm's most basic collections. We're going to talk about collections next. We got lists, records, and tuples. So one thing I was surprised, did the lights just get brighter? That was weird. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm just didn't notice it before. Like if I change focus on my screen, the events window I have open dulls a little bit, and it threw me off for whatever reason. Okay, so if I remember correctly, when we were playing with tuples, we could only have like a 3 tuple. So I think the biggest, a thruple, if you will. I think the biggest tuple you can have is just this. Yeah. So they basically just recommend, like, if you have what's quadruple? Can't be right. Maybe it is. Anyway, you need to use records for this, so we'll talk about that in a second. Don't worry too much about it. Sure, we could do that. Yeah, you could start like getting wild and be like, sure, I can just embed whatever I want in here. 6, 7. Bam. 10, 9, 8. Let's get weird. Because this is the most readable thing I've ever written. I think my parentheses are right. Yeah. So you could do all kinds of weird stuff like that, but I think that if you were doing that, you're a monster and you should write records because it's going to be very confusing for other people. I mean that in the nicest way possible. All right, so lists. I assume we have typed lists, which don't let the man put you down. I won't, I'm sorry. I guess I'm the man here. Okay, so I assume that we can't do something like this. Yeah, so, you know, you can't have red, fish, etc. Every list has to have one type associated to it. So I basically have given up on any language that doesn't have that, because it's, except for Python, because it's really, really hard to deal with in practice sometimes. Like having lists that can have multiple things in them is just hard sometimes, not all the time. Okay. So a list. Oh, the other thing that's different from Haskell, if you're a Haskeller, is it has an actual list data constructor, or I guess this is a type constructor. Yeah, there are data constructors as well, I think. But yeah, this is a type constructor called list. You don't have like the brackets anymore. I think the brackets are only used as an indication of you creating a list or like printing one, I guess. I'm not sure what the right terminology is there. We don't want to read. Read? You want me to read? Okay, so so there's some interesting things about Elm compared to JavaScript. Again, if you've that's very true, Simon. Also, hello. We can have heterogeneous lists in Haskell, but we have to create them ourselves. And we did create them on stream, actually. I should be very clear. We did a book that taught us how to make heterogeneous lists in Haskell. They were very interesting. So Simon, I haven't seen you in a little bit, so we've decided, well, I guess I've decided I'm going to build a website, and so I'm learning Elm currently to try and build that website. So that's what we're doing. We're in chapter 1 of Elm in Action, and there it. Nice. So there's the book if you're interested in it. But I saw some talks from Richard Feldman thanks to Count Oren, and I don't remember who suggested that we do this, but we tried to use Yesod, and Yesod blew my mind. Like, it made no sense to me. I think that was like diving way too deep too fast, and so we're kind of backing out of that hole, and we're going to start with Elm, which is sort of probably considered one of the easiest Haskell derivatives of this. Yeah, multiple people did Oren, but I think you were one of the first as well. So we're gonna try this, and then maybe later when we feel comfortable with this, then we can, dive further into the deep end. So far, the Elm stuff I've written has been awesome. Like, it makes sense to me, which is important because this stuff doesn't always make sense to me, and it's easy to write. So it's great. And like, the only differences I could see, or not the differences, but I thought that the Elm documentation personally looked better than the PureScript documentation from like, here are examples, which is really helpful. So, but people did say on Twitter, like, you're going to get stuck faster with Elm than you would with PureScript. But I think that's okay for me because I'm going to build like a really stupid, simple website. But maybe we'll maybe we'll get to a point where Elm isn't enough and we can try out PureScript, or we can switch to something even heavier like Yesod or, something like that. But no big deal. For someone like me that has no front-end experience, and Haskell experience, this makes the most sense, right? That's the key. If you didn't have Haskell experience, I think this would be a little more mind-blowing, but probably not that bad. Pretty safe and boring bet. Yeah, perfect for me. Okay, so lists in Elm, immutable. This is comparing to JavaScript, so that's why they're mentioning immutable. No fields or methods, so you have functions that operate on lists. Because it is a linked list, you can ask for its first element, but not for other individual elements. You need to ask for elements at various different positions. You can first convert from an Elm list to an Elm array. Oh, interesting. So there's no list.take or anything? List.take, we can just try it. One. Oh, okay. I'm not sure what that means. I guess maybe the point is that we're getting a list back with list take and not an individual element. Like if we ran list head, I assume that exists. Oh, maybe. Let's try that. So it would be list take one, and then I think we do this list dot last. There is no list dot last, apparently. I guess we could just do head. We don't need last, right? Because we're taking one. Well, it would be, yeah, I guess it would be, if we wanted to do this, we could do, take two, list reverse. Oh, wait. Like that. Yeah. So, by the way, I'm sort of jumping way ahead in the book. These pipes are essentially like bash pipes. I don't know if there's an equivalent in JavaScript. In Haskell, it's this operator. You basically are piping the result of this onto list.reverse onto head. So making a small service that will monitor if someone is registering domains very close to my domain. So I sent a PR to the whois package, and now apparently I've been promoted to take care of this package. Wonderful. That sounds like exactly what you needed. You don't have enough to do, Simon. People want you to do more. So, okay, so I guess the point of this is that like list.head is list.head is the only function that returns a value. And interestingly enough, it's actually a maybe. So like you can actually take list.head of an empty list. So that's kind of nice, actually. That's not true in Haskell. In Haskell, this would raise an error. So it's pretty convenient. Okay. So we can concatenate lists just like we can concatenate strings. Just like so, apparently. There's probably also list.concat, I would guess. Expects one argument? Oh, it probably takes a list of list, right? Yeah, okay. So we can't like modify the value, but we could do like list dot append. What's the type here? Oh, okay. So we could do 1, 2, 3, 4 with list dot append, which is I guess equivalent to plus plus. and all types have to be the same. So like you'll see list A, list A, list A, all A's have to be the same. So the Raylude custom prelude package actually turns all the unsafe partial list combinators into safe ones. Oh, that's useful. I've heard of the Raylude before, but I've not used it. Like there's a few custom preludes running around. I know people are like either like, yeah, that's fine, or they hate them. It's like one or the other. It seems like there's no middle ground there. I don't know enough about them to have an opinion, so please don't quote me on that. Okay, so we there's also filtering for lists, so we could do like list filter character not equal dash or whatever, and do, you know, A, B dash. We should get A and B back. Sure. Okay, that makes sense. So like domain application folks would feel more comfortable for using the Raylude over the Prelude, but library folks may want otherwise. That's interesting. Okay. That's actually a useful perspective that I did not have. I would have just guessed that. That's probably why I have that feeling that people either like it or they hate it. It's like either you're doing applications or you're doing libraries, so something like that. I don't know. Oh, okay. So there's also like, whoops, filter car dot is digit. So there's stuff like this as well. So we could do 7 dash 9, or it doesn't matter. So we can get rid of non-digit characters. Presume we can probably even like map of a function to convert them. You can make it point free, I think. Hang on, I have to remember how. Actually, I think I know how. Hang on. You can probably do like, what was it? String dot. No, that was from float. Maybe it's like number. I don't remember how to do it. There's got to be a way to convert it. I don't remember what it is offhand, but I think Oren is right. We can just do basically the prefix version partially applied to that, and that's the point free version. So we still get to do. Oh, by the way, if you're unfamiliar, we still get to deal with this. So point free for the sake of point free. This one is this is pretty reasonable point free. But don't forget about pifsolve, the best. Okay. So a record is a collection of named fields. So this is again jumping in front of the book, but I learned about extensible records in Elm, and that seems extremely useful. So that's exciting. So you can do something like, well, I don't know exactly how to do it offhand, but I'll figure it out here in a second. So we can do like name, Barry, cats 2, and this is sorry, I was reading the JavaScript version, which is like a dictionary looking thing. This is the Elm version. There we go. My bad. If you have a big lambda, it should be another function. Anyway, yeah, I would agree with that. The error messages are amazing. Like, just amazing. They basically tell you what's wrong every time. I have not experienced a situation where I was like, "Oh, error message, you're terrible." They're absurdly good. Scary is another good word. Hmm. That water tastes like nothing. It's weird. So they recently replaced my water pipe, so it was like apparently made of lead, which is fantastic, obviously. Um, and so they gave us these filters that basically remove everything from the water. And I've never tasted water that doesn't taste like actually anything, and now my water does. And it's kind of strange. Okay. LLL? I don't know what that is. 3? Peace? I don't know. What's up, 128? How's it going? Like you're supposed to have some stuff in water. Like they usually put some minerals in there. But like you get minerals from other things. So as long as you have like a decently healthy diet, you probably don't need to worry about that. Uh I assume error at end of file. Yeah. I don't know, all the situations for the errors, but we'll have to see. So 128, are you an Elm person, Haskell person at all? Just curious. JavaScript, front end in general? Tell us your life story. I like to know. Also, if I remember correctly, you can do like really interesting things with updates. So like if we assign this to a value, you can do like a equal, or you can't do that, but you can do like a where name equals Simon, for example. Oh, but I'm missing a. And then it'll return a new record for you with the same types. So like that's the record update syntax. So they use that a lot later on, and it's really neat. You could change both of them. Do you have any cats, Simon? So like you could like literally just completely change these. I'll just pick 0 for now. Maybe you don't. Not yet. Okay, we'll do 0. So like you can completely change the record if you wanted to. I guess it would make more sense in this case just to create a new record. But like if I changed my name to Simon and got rid of my cats, then I could do something like that. I suppose I would never do that, by the way. Not the naming Simon part, but getting rid of my cats. Anyway, I'm in a weird mood today, if you can tell. JavaScript, interested in Elm. I make games. 9-inch nails for the win. I don't understand that reference, but maybe I'm missing something. I hate bright color schemes and slow software. Oh, I get it. Okay, I told you to tell me your life story. 9-inch Nails, fantastic band. I hate bright color schemes. So I hope this is good for you, because I like dark as well. Slow software. Slow software is no good. So hopefully, maybe Elm will help you in some cases. I really don't know. I've seen some interesting games in Elm. So there's like an Elm Mario, for example. Oop, wrong one. I saw an Elm Minesweeper recently, which is like pretty neat. See if I can find it. Yeah, like you can just play Minesweeper right in your browser. So I mean, this is a very basic game, obviously, but written in Elm. There's a lot of good examples and stuff of little games. Nice. You gonna adopt a cat, Simon? And do you have a particular color cat in mind? I would recommend black. They're under adopted. If you're going to adopt. I was in a talk in LambdaConf 2019 of a guy that wrote very nice game in Elm. Yeah, find that video. Nice. Thank you for adopting a cat. All cats appreciate it. So do I. Not that I matter, but new place have very different weather because I've been through this. I'm kind of sick by default, so yeah. So I went from crappy weather to crappy weather. Although I don't know what crappy weather is to you guys, so. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna talk about is tuples, but essentially you have your options are thruples. So 1, 2, or like 1, 2, or 3. Is there a unit? There is a unit. Wonderful. Is there a tuple dot third? That's kind of interesting. So like you can only have 3 size tuples, but there's not a tuple dot third. That seems strange, but okay. Yeah. Follow the black cat advice. Get more black cats. I mean, our black cat is like he's awesome. He likes to bother us in the stream. Maybe we'll see him later. Actually, he was up here like a little bit ago. I don't know if anyone saw him. His name's Andre 3000. He's great. Okay. So, I find this kind of interesting. Like, there's, you know, tuple. What does pair do? Oops. Okay, so it just takes like, sure, you can be a cyborg. So we can just pair stuff up like this. Oh, that's cool. There's a map both. I didn't see that up there previously. But like, this error is fantastic. Map both, map first. So we get both our functor and our bifunctor. Ooh. Look at me throwing out big words. Okay. It makes chips. They're not really chip shaped, but anyway. So we could write, like, you can write functions with tuples as well. So multiply 3D like x, y, z. Oh, is this the one? Actually, there's also a ID chip. I didn't even think about that. So this is that LambdaConf video, Oren? The tricks of game programming in a pure functional language. Cool. I'm gonna save that one for later. Save, watch later. Okay. I don't actually know how the chip works, Simon, but my cat does have a chip. They have to give it to them in the state that I live in. I don't think you have a choice. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm getting distracted. A lot going on in chat, which I appreciate, by the way. Yeah, I think it's RFID as well. So, you know, we can write functions like that. Ooh, robot. Mr. Destructoid. I don't think I've probably seen that emote before. Yeah, so thruple, we can multiply all the thruple values. We can do other things. So, you know, whether or not you want a list, a record, or a tuple depends on what you're trying to do, right? You need to be able to, you know, lists are basically meant for situations where you have arbitrarily sized computations, right? So if you need to continually add or remove elements at the runtime, you probably want a list. You can do that with records as well, apparently. but you can't iterate over a record. Lists don't have names, records have names. Everything's immutable, and anyway, so that's kind of the idea. A tuple can add or remove elements at the runtime, but obviously you can only have 1, 2, or 3 elements, so you can't really do too much. All right. So summaries. Is there anything in here that's super useful? I don't think so. It's just like, so actually the book's really nice. So there's a, I mentioned before, like Book of Monads has a really nice formatting. This book also has a really nice formatting, so I'm pretty happy looking at it. There's not as much syntax highlighting as there is in Book of Monads, but generally speaking, the layout's pretty nice. So just as an example. So here, I'll give you a taste. So like, you don't see any syntax hiding. So on the right is Elm, on the left is JavaScript, but still, like, I think the layout looks pretty nice. We have, different fonts for things. It looks pretty nice. A little bit of color, stuff like that. Oh, probably don't want to show my non-business email on stream, but too late now. Business. I have a business. Did you know that? Okay, so that's chapter 1. So let's just, I'm gonna put a quick note in the README, like, notes. Usually what I like to do is just separate everything else like this. Chapter 1 is essentially so in chapter 2, we are going to make our first Elm application. So chapter 2 will have like the first actual thing in it. 128 says, when you do any decent amount of game dev and come from an OOP mentality, it's hard to bend it to grasp FP. Content is scarce, so you're doing God's work. Thanks. Well, you're welcome. I also came from sort of an OOP background. I wouldn't say that I was very good at it, but I wrote like Fortran, C, C++, and Python in grad school, essentially. And I couldn't find the thing that made sense to me. So, working on a bunch of imperative languages, I kind of wanted to learn FP, got super interested in it. And, that's basically how I spend a lot of my spare time, is just trying to do FP as much as possible. I still write a lot of imperative code at work, but, it's fine. I just do my best to make it as functional as possible. All right. So, we're going to build a page. So this talks kind of about the document object model, which I sort of know about, that it exists. I don't know a ton about it. But if I remember correctly, the DOM is essentially just a tree of objects, and that's how you visualize pages. Okay, so it says, when describing how a page looks in Elm, we don't write markup. Instead, we call functions to create representations of DOM nodes. The most flexible of these functions is called node, and it lines up neatly with analogous markup. Okay, so let me put this into the Elm REPL just to like show you the code. Wrong thing, sorry. Yeah. Copy. Okay, so essentially, like in HTML, you have like these tags, right? So there's like this open side of the tag and a closed side of the tag. But you don't have this in Elm. In Elm, you have something called a node, which can have like some class type. Thank you for the follow, 128. You have like the tag type, I guess is what it would be called. It can have some class name. some ID name, and then some text inside of it. So this is like just straight up, ASCII text you would see on the page, and you can represent that in this text element. This is a function, so I'm not really sure what this means yet. We'll learn. HTML tags are just functions. This tag, you mean? Or these tags? First or second? Elm tag. Got it. Yeah, like this is just a tag. Yes. Yeah. Terminology. So, okay, yeah, like I see. So these inside this list are basically its child nodes. So there's one child node that is just text, which is this submit. And then this is the attributes for the DOM element that is a button, right? That's the idea here. So this is the point where my experience basically falls flat. So if this seems really slow to you, I'm sorry. Like I don't know what I'm doing. So that's what I'm trying to learn. Okay, so hopefully I said that okay. But these are all just plain old Elm functions. I guess we can probably do like Elm REPL and just look at, I guess you would probably write HTML.class or something. Maybe you just write class. Import. Okay, Elm init. Yes. Let's remove this example because it's not even Elm actually. And we'll put in here. So this gets us HTML. So if I do Elm REPL and I do HTML.class, you work now? Oh. I don't know where this function comes from, unfortunately. Maybe node? Okay, so yeah, here we go. So takes a list of attributes. So I need div would be a good one as well. Yeah. So what I would probably need to do is HTML import attributes, and then I could probably do HTML attributes class. Got it. Okay, so yeah, we're kind of learning on the fly here, but I did know that like Elm, or let me explain like why I did the order of things that I just did. So the first thing I wrote was basically like import HTML, right? And that didn't work because it's not HTML, it's HTML. But if you read this carefully, it says, I checked the dependencies and source directories listed in your elm.json. Technically, it didn't exist at the time. Or wait, well, it didn't exist here. Yeah, this didn't exist at all. So I guess this is technically a poor error message. Poor. It's still a good error message. So I knew that I needed to create elm.json, and then that would probably give me HTML. But I may not have even needed to do that because this seems to think that HTML was available to me. So anyway, I could probably delete that and do this again. Anyway, and then I just went through the steps of like, what are the types? Because the types basically tell you everything. So first thing, if you look at node, so let's just look at this real quick. We see HTML node. It takes a string, which in the example code was just button, and it turns it also takes a list of HTML attributes. So I knew that like there's clearly an HTML attribute module, and I can go like poke at that. So I imported it, and then I started poking at it. So first things first, let's see if we can find class. We find class, and it basically gives you an HTML attribute, and it takes a string and returns an attribute, right? So the types kind of just tell you what to do. You don't have to like you don't have to fight with them, hopefully, to figure out what they do. They just kind of tell you. Anyway, does this kind of make sense to folks? Maybe folks who have done more so I would assume that a span cannot contain a div. Let's see. So if we write HTML span, is that a thing? It is. It takes a list of attributes, which will just leave empty, and then it takes a list of more HTML. So we can try and put a div in here. So HTML dot, well, first let me see how to, so we got to put something here. Comments are like this, but that doesn't work because we're on a single line. So I'm just going to comment this out for now. Oh, it doesn't let me? That's kind of weird. It's very confusing that, well, not confusing, but it's interesting that this doesn't work. Okay, so for div, it's that. So let's just fill that in and see if it works. So we'll have html.div, and it takes attributes and then another list, and we'll put text works question mark. So typically people put these extra spaces here in Elm. I'm not sure if that's like just a style thing, but that seems to be what people do. So in theory, this should fail. That's the idea, Swarm. I didn't know a span couldn't contain a div, so you got me. Text. Okay, so this is probably html.text. It seems to work. But again, I don't actually know enough to say that this should lead to a compiler error. Maybe it leads to a runtime error, but that would be kind of unfortunate. I don't have enough information to tell, fortunately. I wish I did. Let me know if you have an idea of how this should behave. Okay, so okay. I suppose I could Google span. Okay, yeah, let's try it. We're gonna make a site here in a second, so oh, I want to get out of here. So we have oh, the other thing we need to do is create a git ignore for Elm stuff, which is a hilarious name. I really enjoy it. And then we should do, oh right, now we're gonna try and use VS Code and see how it goes. Supposedly, oh, there's nothing in the source directory. Okay, that's fine, I guess. So we're gonna probably create a main dot. Oh, we're gonna make a photogrove.elm file. Okay. I probably need to make the font. Oh, that's unfortunate. Hang on. Preferences, settings, font. Maybe 24. Is that big enough for you guys? I just want to make sure everyone can read it. That's that's a very funny question, Drew. Also, hello. Why do all my professors in college, I suppose, seem confident that I will pass and graduate? They truly want you. I think most professors do want you to pass and graduate. So it's probably some amount of like hope. But are you doing well? I mean, you don't have to tell us your grade, but like maybe you're just doing fine. I feel like generally speaking, I've said this maybe on stream before, I don't know, but generally people don't really know what to expect from others, so it can be difficult, if that makes sense. Exposing, yeah, so you're fine. Like you're getting B's, you're fine. That's perfect, better than average. So, well done. If you're getting B's, you're fine. Are you like a CS student? HTML exposing div h1 image text. I like this color scheme a lot. Nice. What languages are you sort of learning right now? Oh, geez. Yeah, you're fine, man. Or woman, sorry. Hard to tell. Assuming gender in 2019. Am I right? C++? That's good. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty common language to learn in school. I hope you're not offended that... Well, anyway, I'm not even gonna try. It's too hard. I forget how amazing Grovbox color scheme is. I just really love Grovbox. Okay, a span has permitted content phrasing content. I don't even know what that means. Does that mean something to you? It doesn't mean anything to me. Why do they always talk about teaching and that I will learn? What do you mean about teaching? Do you just mean like how they're going to teach you? I'm not entirely sure what you mean there. But like, depending on where you are, people are pretty interested in pedagogy and like how it applies to, you know, the world. So I'm also interested in that. What is this one reference thing? Well, of course it's their goal, right? I mean, as a professor, that's your entire life is trying to teach students, so it's pretty important. I'm not sure. It's kind of interesting that they're saying over and over again, I suppose, but I don't think it's that strange. I mean, I do, like, during some of my workshops I mention, you know, we're doing it this way for a reason. The reason might not be necessarily obvious at first, if that makes sense. Yes, for sure. If you have a 3-2, and I should mention as well, like, I also have that problem. So I had that problem in school as well. Like, I just didn't think I was doing well enough, even though I was doing fine. So, no, don't. Yes, you need to have more faith in yourself and just, yeah, be more confident. I understand that that's not easy to do if you're not a confident person. I wasn't. And I'm not, generally speaking, so. All right. ID. Thumbnails. Okay, so the whole point of this book, by the way, is that we're going to create an application called PhotoGroove, which I think is just going to be like I don't know, some sort of image slider. I have no idea what it's going to end up being, so we're going to find out here in a little bit. ID thumbnails. We got stuff in the div. So image, source. Don't I need source as well? Oh, that's probably what the attributes exposing ... thing is. HTTPS. elminaction.com 1.jpg. Why should I have confidence? Well, you have a 3.2, right? That's why. You're doing well. You don't need to be concerned if you're doing, you have a 3.2 GPA. If you told me you had like a 1.5, then I would be concerned, or say you should be concerned. Obviously, I have no control over your grades or anything. All right, so that's that div, that's that div, and then I think that's it. And then we have, oh, this red squiggly is because of main, I suppose. Main. No model yet. Hashtag sad. Yeah, I mean, just keep doing your best. You can just start with main. Oh, yeah. Yeah, like it doesn't matter where this stuff is. I'm just doing it in the order that they're showing me. So I guess this is it. Does this like tell me what I'm using? That would be kind of cool. No quick fixes. No quick fixes. Unfortunate. No quick fixes. I miss quick fixes. All right, so in theory we're done here. Is there like a run? What if I like Elm reactor start? I'm 6% above a B in my, yeah, you're totally fine. Usually finals are worth more than that, honestly. I mean, if you keep studying, yeah. Is this just not doing anything? Or did it just open? That's like just an actual terminal. How do I know Elm reactor is running? What's the port? Okay, let's so let's just do Elm reactor from a terminal. I think it's like F12. Control F12? F11? That's full screen. Terminal. An external terminal. How do I just go to a terminal? Toggle integrated terminal. Got it. Control, it's control tick. I don't know what people call that. Anyway, can you read this? That's terrible. I can't really make this much bigger, but I just want to write Elm reactor in here. Okay, so it's localhost 8000. So let's see if we can Elm reactor start localhost 8000. Nice. Okay, so it is started, but you can't see anything, which is a little frustrating. Can we see it here? Like, confused. This is tasks, so we want... I'm confused, but okay. So in theory, we should be able to look at this thing, and we see 3 pictures. So there we go. We made our first web page. Yes. So the question is, do you think students should be nervous in college considering how much money you give them? Yes, you should absolutely be concerned. This is an interesting picture. Like, you should work really hard because you only get 1 chance. Well, I mean, you can get more chances, I guess, but it's going to cost you a lot more money. Right. Thank you for reminding me. So now we should be able to just, like, I guess get rid of this for now. And we should be able to do, or what we want to try is the following. So span, but we probably need to put span. Maybe it will do that for us. Span with an empty, and then something in here, which is going to just be a div, empty text works? Question mark? And I suppose that this should be like this. Is this what? That's terrible. Oh well. Seems to work. I don't know enough about hey, it's Emily. What's up? Yeah, there's some booty rocking going on here. Maybe some booty rocking going on here, but it's kind of hard to tell. So I don't know enough about spans and divs to say that this should work or not. Like, it seems to work, so if any HTML masters out there want to tell us what's going on here? I really don't know. Okay, so I think we're gonna talk about a little bit about, yeah, for sure. There's no doubt in my mind that HTML is magic. Also, this is probably considered like terrible formatting. It probably should be like just on one line, like so, I suppose. There's probably no reason to make it different, excuse me. Okay, so like there's, oh. Like Jappy's statement there is so Swarm, is there some like, does TypeScript or some other language force you to not do this? Like, where is that idea coming from? Like, I truthfully don't know, so you're educating all of us, I suppose. But like Jappy saying here, apparently HTML doesn't really care. I don't really know what a span is, so I've heard it before, but I don't know what it is. Okay. So, yeah, there's some stuff going on here. So the first thing, oh, here we go. I built a library for a PhD back in the day that validated against the document type definition, and things like that are prohibited by the definition. Ah, okay. So like according to this DTD, okay, I see what you're saying. So this is supposed to be not possible. However, browsers seem to not care that much. That's kind of the idea. Interesting. All right, so let me explain what's going on here a little bit, because like I'm new to this as well. So we have this module. The module is basically everything in this file, and it's called PhotoGroove. One thing I was curious about is if I can just rename this main and if it cares. Yeah, so that's similar to Haskell. It does matter what the title of the module is. It needs to match the file name. So if we have photogroove.elm, it needs to be module photogroove, which is kind of interesting that that's a requirement, but maybe it just is a good idea that they match. I don't know. Kind of interesting though. So this module exposes one function called main, which is the main entry point into the program. Except that, oh, so with this, I would get like weird stuff. I'm going to delete this actually because I don't want to confuse myself later. But that's interesting, learning something. I wonder what this website is. Oh, if you just go to the root directory, it just forwards you to the book. That's actually pretty awesome. Good choice. So it hosts the book and then sends you to the Manning page. That's really great. All right. And then we have some imports, and the only thing that's different here from Haskell is that you don't have this exposing thing. So otherwise it looks the same. And I'm sorry for folks that have never done Haskell before, but like my comparison with Elm is always going to be to Haskell. So if that's something that you can't handle or you don't like, I'm really sorry. I don't know how else to do it. Thing to keep in mind is that HTML was invented to annotate existing text. So browsers always just try to display as much as possible as correctly as they can, which often involves failing silently. Okay. Yeah, so again, in Haskell, this goes away. And it looks to me like this exposing thing is necessary if you want to do anything, I guess. So it seems like oh, okay, I see. So if you want to use class, div, source, whatever directly, you have to do this. So you have to say exposing everything, which is arguably a bad idea, but we're just doing an example here. We also don't need this span anymore. So that's why it's kicking off this warning, like importing all from module is not a great idea. But if you don't want this, you can remove it. It's just that let me save. In all of these places with the red squigglies, you need to then write html.attributes.class. And that will correct that one, and then you'd have to correct id source. So, it's up to you how you want to do it. But we could also just like say exposing class id source, and this should work as well. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense what we're doing here. If I remember correctly, there's some things where you have okay, I mean we could just expose everything until we get name clashes. The nice thing is the compiler will tell you when you get name clashes, so you don't have to worry too much about that. Yeah, they're very basic names. And also records have a lot of like duplicated names as well. Oh, we can import as well. So we could do like import HTML attributes as heh. It's going to say this is unused. Yeah, okay. All right. What is this two references thing? Oh, it's just showing you where they are. That's kind of neat. I've not been in VS Code recently, so like I don't know a ton about exposed. Just one reference. Kind of neat. I'm not sure how useful it is, but it's fine. Oh, nice. There's a stop button down here. I didn't see this before. I haven't played with VS Code in a while, so you'll have to bear with me. I'm kind of still learning again. So there we go. So there's a point here of why. Oh, did I explain all of this correctly? I think so. So here we just have a view function, but I think view, is this special in some way? Like this is just a function, right? That returns, I guess, an HTML message. It takes a so view takes a string and returns HTML message. Oh. I guess it's like this. Yeah. So, yeah, and the reason this takes a string is because, well, I'm just giving it some weird string. Typically, it would take some model, but we have not defined a... That's funny. That's cool, though, that this just shows up here. I don't have to, like, fight for it. In Vim, you have to fight for it a little bit. But you have to use your mouse then, you know. So, anyway. Okay. Do. All right, so then they're just talking, basically just talking about the DOM elements that are available and like why they're organized this way or how they're organized and like what's going on. And also like they explain a little bit more about like why Reactor works this way, but we've used Reactor a little bit before, so I kind of know how it works. I guess that these images aren't being, I guess they're cached. It was just because the view needed to be updated, I suppose. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So we could have also written the following. So if you don't want to do it like this, you can actually do ... and then do something like, or sorry. You could do something like this and then say class equals HTML attributes class, like that, and that will get rid of that first squiggly. So that's kind of neat. I didn't know you could do this. I suppose it makes sense because these are just functions, so you can assign functions to whatever name you want. So that's kind of cool. All right, we've talked about exposing everything. Yep. So we know about ambiguity. We were just talking about ambiguity, so that's fine. All right, so now we're going to talk about, building a project. It says, now that we've got something on the screen, let's add some style. And style is another thing I know literally nothing about, so not surprising. So apparently there are two different CSS packages available to you. One is called, one comes from Richard himself, RT Feldman /elm-css. Here, I can put that on the screen. So let's put some comments in here. Style, one can use RT Feldman MD Griffith Elm UI. And I think it seems like from what I was reading that this Elm UI is the one that most people are using. And in the book, he calls it groundbreaking. So apparently it's very, very good. Comparing, it just says comparing styling alternatives is outside the scope of this book, but both of them can be found on package.elm-lang.org. So I don't know what we're going to be, which one we're going to be using just yet. Maybe Because we could style our page using a separate Elm package or by writing inline CSS styles using the HTML attributes style attribute. But instead we're going to organize things by writing our CSS declarations in a separate CSS file. Okay, that's fine. We can always try and convert between these later and play. I just don't know a lot about CSS, so okay. So this says, let's create a file named index.html in the same directory as our Elm JSON file and put these contents inside of it. Okay. Oh, wrong thing. So we need to create a new file, but not here. Do that. Why? Fine, I'll move it later. Oh, that's weird. Wait, it did show up where I expected it to. And we'll just put this in here. So I need to get rid of some of these comments. Maybe I don't, but I probably do, right? This is cool. Okay, so there's some stuff in here that needs to go away. So that needs to go away. Is there no way to like automatically format this? Yeah, I think that's right, Oren. I don't know how to format this automatically, so I'm not going to play with it. What is this complaining about? I have no idea. Style. Okay. I don't know what any of this means, so I don't like I can't fix this. So I suppose what we could do is just like tab that out at least. Body. Why is this a different color? Can you tell? I don't know if you can even see this, but there's like the closing script tag has a very slightly different color. Okay, so we saved this. Great. All right, so it says the Elm photo groove init thing starts our Elm code running in this div. All right, interesting. Small bug? Oh, like the color thing. Yeah, I guess so. All right, so then in theory we can say Elm make source/photo groove Elm output equals elm.js. Success. Okay. So can I just like open this? What if I... Okay. Ooh. Style. Also sort of aligned. Yeah. No more JS for me. Maybe. I mean, I have no idea if we're gonna have to write JS at some point. We might have to. I mean, I guess I've kind of done it before, but not a lot. So there's some style here. I mean, we're getting some ordering. I don't really know enough about CSS to tell you much more than, okay, this happened. And we can open it with Google. We don't have to use this reactor thing, which we were using before. So you can see the difference. But I mean, I guess I could do it. So before, right? Okay. Gulp and basil. Basil is one of those things that kind of annoys me. Only because I have to only compile TensorFlow with basil, and every time there's a new TensorFlow, I have to install a new basil. They never match. It's always annoying to me. Anyway. Yeah, I should use Nix. Okay. What next? I don't know. So it says the Elm runtime and main. The Elm compiles our code into JavaScript. What's the JavaScript look like? No, not here. Here. That could work. Oh boy. I suppose this isn't terribly unreadable from a, like a... I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me necessarily, but... How long is it, I guess? 4,000 pages. Okay. 4,000 lines. I said pages. So what else do we need to git ignore? Probably just elm.js for now. We probably can keep index.html. You can ask the compiler to print in a readable way. I'm not sure that it's unreadable, actually. I assume you can write like the minimized version, which would be more interesting. Like, this is pretty readable. This is a function that takes a function with 2 arguments and applies them, right? Something like this. So anyway, generally pretty readable. Okay. So the Elm runtime is behind the scenes code that quietly handles things like adding and removing event listeners for any events our code depends on, efficiently scheduling tasks like HTTP requests and DOM updates, and storing and managing application state. So that's what that, I guess, this Elm.js thing is dealing with. And behind the scenes, the Elm reactor is kind of doing that for us, I guess. So one thing I find really, really interesting is, or maybe it's not that interesting, but this background color, oh, you see the problem? So you can't see it in, you can't see it in VS Code, but that was the wrong dash. So my guess is, there we go. Well, bam. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, you're doing a lot with this little bit of Elm.js. It's doing a ton of heavy lifting, and I imagine as you add, more stuff, that extra boilerplate gets smaller and smaller. I don't know how much of that Elm.js file is literally just like boilerplate for running Elm itself. Anyway, so that was kind of interesting. So this happens to me a lot, actually. When you copy and paste things from, random sources, you get different dashes. So you gotta be careful with that, apparently. I'll keep that in mind for next time. You just need to replace them with an actual dash. Okay. So now it says we'll make it interactive. So we're gonna handle, so the next part is handling user input with the Elm architecture. So let's go back to VS Code, and we're probably gonna open up our photo groove, but I'm gonna remove this because we're not really doing that. We're doing styling in this index.html. Okay. So far, we haven't had much data flowing through our application. We haven't had any, really. How will we keep data flow manageable as our code scales? JavaScript offers a staggering selection of data flow architectures to choose from. Elm has one. It's called Elm architecture. The Elm runtime is optimized for applications that follow it. And so my understanding is this Elm runtime is basically similar to how React and Redux works. I don't know if is it the combination of the two things or just React. But like Elm or React was inspired by Elm. Is that correct? I think that's how it worked. But anyway, so let's explain a little bit about this. Okay, let's put it here. Actually, let's put it in the README. Do we really want it in the README? I don't think so. Let's just put it here. So it's the combination of two. Gotcha. So the Elm runtime is an update, model, view, something like this. So Elm, I'll just call it ER, produces an update message, produces a message which triggers the update function update modifies the model and the view, right? I think so. And view. View and the model. View takes the model and produces HTML. Something like this. Simplified, obviously. Not I'm not like going into drastic detail. This is sort of it's chapter 2 view of Elm. Okay, so representing application state with a model. Back in the wild west days of the web, it was common to store application state primarily in the DOM itself. Is that menu expanded or collapsed? Check whether one of its DOM nodes has class expanded or class collapsed. Need to know what value a user has selected in a dropdown? Query it out of the DOM at the last possible instant. This approach turned out to not scale very well. Today, it's a common practice to store application state completely outside the DOM and to propagate changes from the independent state over to the DOM as necessary. That's how the Elm architecture works. Okay. So declaring a model is as simple as doing the following. So initial model. So we have 3 URLs basically. And I suppose what we're going to do is write some okay, before I do that, I need to take a quick break because I need to use the bathroom super bad. So, talk amongst yourselves, say hi to each other. There's 8 viewers. I see basically 2 people talk. Oh, there's a few more than that. So, say hi to everyone, and I'll be right back, okay? I guess I just don't understand what that means. Okay, I will keep going though. Okay, so then I guess we need to pass in initial model and delete this. Tree shaking is a process of identifying code that is not used. Once the unused code is identified, it can be eliminated from the source, delivered to the browser. Interesting. Am I still getting screen tearing? God. Is it VS Code that's causing it? I feel like I can see glitches all over the screen, and I don't know what's wrong. What if I just get rid of this? Are you guys seeing those? Or is it just this little thing? Like it might just be the view in Twitch itself. But like a lot? It looked like there was a lot. Okay. I think I'm just overreacting probably. There's like in the new stream preview, there's like a little, I don't think there's anything in here that's problematic to show you, but there's like a tiny bit, there's this tiny view thing, and it's like causing, it looks like it's tearing, but maybe it's just this little view is problematic, not because it's like so, the FPS is so slow, something like that. Okay, anyway, so here, now that we have the model, we can probably do something like the following. So what's the best way to do this? We'll probably create like a function called, I don't know, image link. It's going to take an URL and it's going to return image source So I want to do this 3 times basically, but it's really just over the model. Oh, which is a list. Okay, so we're gonna say list.map image link model what are you complaining about? Oh, it's a list of records. So we need to say How do I forget how to get a record out of it. Or how do I get the value out of the record? That's what I need to remember how to do. Probably. Well, I guess I can do it here. Is that right? Looks like it. Okay, so we could also do that down here. We could just do, well, we would have to do, so, you know, I don't want this to have a record. I want this to be it's really a location. It's really not a location, it's a file name. Something like this. And then let's be better about our styling, I suppose. And then here we need to do, it's basically like, okay, so that's equivalent. I don't know how to make this not point free. Like, there's got to be an easier way to do it, or seemingly, but I don't know how to like extract the URL component of this record without having like R. I assume .url is not a function. I suppose we can try it in a REPL, right? Ugh. Anyway, so in theory, this should basically do the same thing, and this is no longer being used. Oh, yeah, I'm overkilling. Sorry. That there's absolutely no reason it shouldn't be more complicated. Yeah. I like using the pipe, so I'm like, no, there's literally no reason to use the pipe there. It's just I got used to them, and I like using them. They're kind of nice. So I think that this would be correct. Is there a $sign in? Does not look like it. Okay, so in theory, this should look exactly the same, but I need to build it first. So I need to do that, and then I need to... I'll leave this there. I don't know why I keep deleting it. So there we go. So basically it looks exactly the same. I suppose if we refresh, oh, we don't get to styling, right? Because the styling's separate. So there's photo groove. I didn't notice these dots before. They don't matter, but I didn't notice. Don't save that. Okay. Oh, I can use the control tick thing, I forgot. Okay, so it says next we'll render a thumbnail for each photo in our list. At the top level of a typical Elm application is a single view function, which accepts our current model as an argument and then returns some HTML. The Elm runtime takes the HTML returned by this view function. Actually, real quick, how much do we have left of chapter 2? quite a lot. It's a pretty big chapter. Okay, that's fine. I was hoping to get chapter 2 done today, but I don't think we're going to. Sorry, I lost my place. Okay, so writing a view function. We've already written just such a view function. It's the function we had the foresight to name view. Unfortunately, our current view implementation ignores the model argument it receives, which means changing our model won't result in a visible change. Oh, well, I actually did change it. But anyway, it'll be easier to do this if we write a separate view thumbnail helper function, which renders a single thumbnail as HTML. All right, so there's something that they're doing in here as well. It's like URL prefix equals, and then we can do like instead string and URL prefix, something like this, I suppose. This is probably really fragile because there is not a slash at the end, right? Like doing string append here probably not a great idea. We probably would be much better off writing just in case, right? Like 2 slashes doesn't break anything here. It might break somewhere else, but if you're going to do it this way, I suppose this makes more sense. So image source. So they are doing this, by the way, which is fine. I'm just updating it. I suppose it will make sense in the future to do it this way because our initial model is going to probably get more records. So it might make more sense to do things this way. I'm fine with it. I was surprised to find that security protocols block URLs with a double /. But wait, how? Just in after the domain, I suppose. I suppose that makes sense. So maybe it makes more sense to hard code that in because of that. Yeah, after the domain. Like, again, these are right next to each other, so it's not that problematic, but that's kind of interesting. I didn't know that, so like, I guess you could do, you know, you could like let URL prefix equals. I don't know what the right way to do stuff is, so let's just put this back in here. I've never heard that before, so. Oh, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Anyway, we're over engineering already, so let's under engineer for now. Okay, so we talked about list. Like, I already knew about list.map, so the book is talking about list.map, but you know, I know it exists, so we just wrote the function. I don't know why we're calling this a thumbnail, but okay. I thought a thumbnail was just like a tag underneath a file. Oh, like specific for URLs. That could be. I don't know. All right, so we know about this. We know view thumbnail. Okay, so it says expanding the model. Now let's add a feature. When the user clicks on a thumbnail, Oh, we want to call this, oh, we already called it ID thumbnails. Good. It will become selected, indicated by a blue border surrounding it, and will display a larger version of it beside the thumbnails. To do this, we first need to store which thumbnail is selected, which means we'll want to convert our model from a list to a record, so we can store both the list of photos and the current selected URL. All right, so we're gonna have in here a record, one called photos, or I guess thumbnails, but we can call it photos. Yeah, that's what I noticed, and like that's like I can see it way more obvious here, but I don't understand why it's doing that. Is it not this? Like, why would it do that? I don't even have Vim open. What is it doing? It makes no sense to me. Anyway, okay. Sorry, I'm getting very distracted by that. It's really weird. That's why. Oh, maybe the built-in terminal? Could be. I have no idea, but it's confusing. So we should put this here like so, and then we should put a comma here and do selected URL. Okay, so here's our initial model now, but we have this selected idea, and then we're gonna say okay, so let's update view to display the blue border for the selected thumbnail. That's easier said than done. The view function only accepts one argument, thumbnail, so it has no way to access the model. Oh, wait, did I write something different than what they wrote? I suppose I did. I called this image link, but really this is like a view thumbnail. No, that's view, and then this is model dot photos. Okay. Yeah, we could do that. Look, can we do it? Let's do it this way first, and then try and refactor. Something like that. I could also, by the way, just switch to regular old Vim and see if we still have that issue. Let's do that. Because I don't really need this right now. We're just kind of like writing pretty basic code. And I also am pretty sure that I've set up this to have all the warnings. Yeah. So like I already have this all set up. The color scheme is not as great, but it's still decent. Okay. And if I remember correctly, the only reason I don't have Grovebox here is because it broke one of my other plugins, which I thought was weird. It broke COC and Vim. No idea why, but it did. Okay. Anyway, sorry. All right, so we expanded the model, we fixed the bug, and now our thumbnail function needs to accept both the selected URL and the thumbnail. This is the code we're writing at first, but it's not going to be we're gonna fix it. So like if selected URL ugh. It's just a function. Okay. So that should be okay, but this is gonna fail. Because we would need to well, let's see what they do. I don't think it would make sense to do this. It would just make sense to pass the model. And then that way I can just do... No, it's not a model, it's... Then we can just do model rec this, model rec photos dot URL. Maybe this makes sense. I'm not even sure. It will fix the bug. We'll see what they do. I'm kind of just writing code, so might as well just do it. Can always fix it, or change it. So I think that this should work now. So view is supposed to take a model. Isn't it comma D? I guess not. So here we do need to open up Elm Reactor. Oh, apparently it didn't close Elm Reactor. Very fun. You can put the if after the source in order to not repeat. Oh, interesting idea. Yeah, let's do that. That's a really good idea. Hang on, I lost my train of thought. So PS or PID of Elm. I mean, that has to be the right one, right? Yes. What is P? Yeah, I mean, it's gotta be that one. Just keel it. Yeah, okay. So what I'm looking for is basically the error. Oh, right. So I can't use list map anymore. That's the problem. So I see. So this list.map down here doesn't really work right because this isn't a list of model records. It's a selected URL and a thumb. So I need to put this back. Okay. Yeah, only over the model photos, exactly. Okay, so let's get this code working and then we're gonna implement what Oren said. So it's going to take... Oh, we can just partially apply. I'm stupid. Model dot selected URL. Selected URL. I'm overthinking again. Right? We'll just partially apply view thumbnail, and then everything compiles. Right? Because this model selected URL doesn't change every time we update our view. And then we want to fix the duplication here by basically saying if selected URL equals thumb URL, then class selected. Do I need an else statement for every if? Then class selected else empty list. I suppose I could do this. Oh, it needs to be a class. We can do that as well. I was thinking about just like trying to get rid of it completely. Yep, thanks. No, I appreciate the suggestions. So what do I have to put here? It has to be a class though. I don't think I can do a single if. Yeah, but I can't do if select then class. Oh, I see what you're saying. I think. It does not, I don't think. They were pointing out that, you know, that's available. The ternary operator is available for JavaScript, but not for Elm. So what if we do... Oh, but that won't matter. I was like, okay, well, let's do pattern matching. Yes, it is an expression. That's correct. Yeah. But we want to do plus plus. Oh, I get it. Oh wait, no, I think that still fails. Maybe unless if I put it in a list. But I think I see what you're saying. So if we do like plus plus parenthesis here, a parenthesis there, and then do if selected photo. What does this do? Oh, okay. All right, these are just warnings. Use cons over concat. But wouldn't I need... Don't I need to get rid of this? Do it this way? Yeah. So I have like one element, which is source, and I want to cons. By the way, the difference here is cons is double colon in Haskell. So I want to cons this if. So what we should do is close this and run Elm format, because I don't have a dang clue what the right way to format it is. I sure want to overwrite. Yeah. What's the formatter suggest we do? This. I wasn't expecting that, but fine. But yeah, this is cool. I like this better. I mean, we're avoiding the duplication, and we're not using an append. We're using a cons, which would be much faster, in theory. Again, we're only appending like one thing, so it's not that, probably not that big of a deal, but you know, it does make a difference. Okay. Oh man. Each. So there's a function for this, by the way. So this code. What is it? So this code is equivalent to the following. So I didn't know this existed, so I'm glad we did it, because I like doing this kind of stuff with everyone. So it's okay. Oh, but I do this, so I need. Let me get this compile and I'll explain it. I mean, it's probably pretty obvious what's going on. I don't know why we have two spaces between each function. Like that's very not Haskell-y, but anyway. So class list basically takes tuples of a class and booleans. If the boolean is true, it includes it. If the boolean is false, it ignores it. So apparently this is common enough that they have a function to do this for you. So pretty sweet. And then, you know, again, we save this and we should verify that it still works. Oh, it doesn't work. It must come from attributes. Seems to. Refresh. There we go. Oh, but I don't. Oh, right. I'm not gonna see anything yet. We need to add the. Hang on. Okay. So we got our view thumbnail partially applied to model selected URL. And then we also need to deal with the selected one. So we're going to have basically another image. And it's going to have. Oops. Put that down there. So we're going to basically, most of these things are going to take two lists. So this one takes class, large, and the source. So it's like this, and then that should show up here. Again, it's not going to style anything, but you can see that this is the first one. That's the one that's currently selected. We'll style it here in a second, and then it should be like, I guess, over here in big. We'll see. Oh, it already includes that, so we can just do save Z, Control R Elm. Oh, I didn't do this before, so it's Elm make something. Source this, and then output Elm.js. Like so. And then we should be able to refresh. And then there's our thing. We can't deal with the clicks yet, but you can see the highlighting. We can optimize. Let's try that. Optimize. Is it with an S or Z? Okay. So I imagine that this minifies. Is that's the right term, right? Oh, what does optimize do? Elm make. Oh. Oh, okay. So it's not minify, but it's much smaller. That's interesting. Why would you do this? You can say, report JSON, humans should avoid it. All right, it's fine. Interesting. All right, so there we go. So we made this, and I assume the next thing we're going to do is, oh, I have that under here because I'm being a good citizen, a Vim citizen. So we wrote the partial function right away. So they had the explicit lambda in there, and we just ignored it basically. Okay, we've talked a lot about partial application on this stream, so I'm not going to go into partial application and currying and uncurrying and these sorts of things. Oh. I missed that. Apparently there's a larger fold. Oh, good question. Control Z. So we got word count L M JS. So it's 4,587 and sorry, I don't use Control R enough, so I'm kind of like been playing with it more. I really need to use it like literally all the time. It's the exact same length. Okay, let's just run a word count. So we lose about just under 1,000 characters, but the length is exactly the same. And we lose a few words, so it doesn't seem like a lot. But again, we're working with such a trivial example. It's not surprising that we see these differences, right? If we saw, I imagine if we had a bigger application, you would see much larger differences between these two things. So, but the lines of code are the same. Yeah. We'll have to see what happens at the end. If you hopefully you can stay around. You sound busy, but I'll try and remember that from the end. So actually, let's you know what we should do? Here's what we should do. So questions. Does Elm make source question mark? So there's a question. And I presume that it will be true, but we won't know unless we try. So all right. I also left this open so I can come back here. Anyway. All right, so handling events with messages and updates. But I think we're gonna stop here, and we're gonna do that next time. So for everyone checking us out right now, thank you so much for hanging out. Like, I really appreciate everyone today. The chat was super fun, and I had a really nice time. You know, there are definitely good streams and bad streams, and today was a good, not bad streams, just less fun streams. Today was a fun stream. So I basically got permission to work on this book today. So we're gonna essentially commit everything right now, and then you can go look at the code. It's basically available to you. The book costs money, but it's really not that expensive, and so far it's pretty nice. It's been pretty basic in the first chapter up to this current point, but I'm pretty happy with it thus far. So let's make sure we're not committing anything we don't really want to commit. We need to keep that. We need to keep this because it contains our CSS. We need to keep that. So commit m, so up to section 2.2.2. Push that right up